So if you are a particularly frugal person, you're going to really enjoy today's episode because we're going to talk to my sister. This is the fourth of my sibling episodes. There's 5 of us. We're excited. We all have different investing styles. My sister and her husband are particularly cost conscious when it comes to investing. So you're going to really enjoy the tone this episode takes, and I think you're going to learn a lot. Thank you to our sponsor, Richard LaNasa with Core Lending Group, where they value speed, strength, and service. Richard's been a lender for 30 years, and I've known him for 20 of those years, and he is a fantastic lender. He's very well versed in all the programs. You'll be in very good hands if you trust Richard LaNasa with Core Lending Group. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Will Frederick Podcast, where we talk about real estate, wealth building, money, and life. And today is one of my favorite people in the world I have as a guest, my sister, Jessica Angerman. So welcome, Jess. Good to see you today.
Thanks to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Thanks for coming. So why don't you, so there's 5 of us. I'm the oldest. Then Jeremy, you've met on the podcast. Jessica is number 3. Jenny, you've met on the podcast. And Jeff, you've met on the podcast. So we've got the middle sister here, the middle child, but really the oldest girl. So
yeah, I think you guys referred to me as one of the bosses. So
yeah, why don't you give everybody a snapshot of your life? Like tell us about like how you got to where you are today. It doesn't have to be real long, but tell us about your family.
Okay. I am right now, I'm married to a military guy, so I'm a Navy spouse. And that happened, graduated from Southeastern, went over to University of West Florida for graduate school and met my husband there. And we dated for 4 years, him kind of hopping all over, got married. And then 15 years later, we just had our 15th anniversary. And
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. And almost 9 moves later, here we are. So we're currently preparing for another move to Guam. So things are getting a little dicey, and my husband is deployed right now also. So got a lot of fun things going on.
Yeah. And so Jessica is a homeschool mom and a military spouse, military wife. Her husband is kind of a big deal in the Navy, Captain Angerman.
He's got 3 warships.
We have a lot of family jokes with Jimmy, my brother-in-law. But anyway, he's a great man, and they're a great couple. They also have 4 kids, ages 10 and down. And so Jessica right now is a single stay-at-home mom because her husband's deployed, preparing to move halfway across the earth.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun things going on right now.
Yeah, so I decided to get her before she left for Guam for 2 years. So thanks for coming.
Yeah.
And you mentioned how many moves y'all had with the Navy? 9 moves, and that's since y'all been married 15 years.
Well, some of those were 4. We were together for 4 years before we got married, and so yeah, we kind of have started in Pensacola, moved to Port Hueneme, California, San Diego, California. After that, Naples, Italy. I know I'm going to get hell for that.
I mentioned I lived in Italy. We always
makes fun of me because I like to remember the times that I lived in Italy, and people think that's ridiculous. So Naples, Italy, grad school at LSU in Baton Rouge, where we lived here. Then Gulfport, Mississippi, DC area, and then back to here and now to Guam. So. Yeah.
Well, and we give Jessica a hard time. So they got married and then moved to Italy for 3 years. They were in Italy with no kids and every weekend free. And it
was like a 3-year honeymoon. It was amazing.
Yeah. And we give her a lot of hard time about it, but I'm really jealous. I didn't get to go visit because we were having little kids at the time. So, but everybody else in the family went and visited, some of them multiple times. But anyways, cool life experiences, Jess, so far. So how do you manage all of that? Just like hopping around and we're going to get to talk about real estate in a minute, but like, what's your I don't know. How do you manage it? That's a big question.
I don't know that I do it well.
Like homeschool and like, all.
Yeah. Like right now we have a lot going on with the homeschool. We're trying to wrap up our year and kind of get a little bit ahead so that when we make the transition to Guam, it's a little bit easier. But with Jimmy deployed and you've been helping me work on a house that we're about to own or finance also. So all that's going on, the deployment, the move. It's a lot. It's a lot. But
well, and something that I didn't know that I would have known. So I want to mention this because when your husband's high up in the military, you actually have responsibilities as a military wife, like you're leading other wives and
yeah, there's some ancillary duties that
ancillary duties.
That's what Jimmy told me. I said ancillary, and he said that. What are you, British?
Ancillary.
And so he's the one who told me how to say that. But duties, just leadership duties, trying to help other spouses.
Ancillary means like extra, right? I mean,
see, so you say it like I just said it.
I said ancillary.
I say ancillary too.
What is it?
He said ancillary.
Oh, ancillary? I thought it was.
He said, or maybe I said it. No, he said ancillary.
I think ancillary is probably the British.
I think.
Let's chat GPT.
I can't remember what I said. I think I just said it wrong, basically, according to him. But no, so there's different jobs. There's a family readiness group that really goes to support the battalion. The battalion has a little over 600 men and women in it. And so there's a family readiness group that kind of gets together and helps support those families doing different events and having informational meetings once a month and meetups, potluck style and stuff like that. So I'm an advisor for that board. And then we have a ward room of the officer spouses that we try to get together and just meet up and support each other. It's hard when your spouse is gone. So just making sure that people have an ear and people have the support that they need. And,
Yeah. And Jessica's always been like a, emotionally like in touch person, like counselor mindset. And so like, it's really cool for me to see my sister growing in that and like leading other women. And I think it's awesome the military intentionally does that because there are a lot of challenges with military life. So.
Yeah. It's nice. I have benefited a lot in the past and through our years. Jimmy makes 20 years tomorrow, actually, in the Navy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I think that I have
Captain Angerman, yeah.
I have benefited a lot from seasoned spouses in the past who've just poured into me. So I feel like it's an honor to be able to do
paying
that.
It forward, yeah.
Yeah.
So along this road, when did y'all start thinking real estate? Like, how did that develop? Because I don't even remember. I'm asking you because.
Yeah, we're sort of chickens on listening to some of your past ones and hearing kind of where everybody kind of falls on the spectrum. And we're middle ground.
Yeah.
I remember when Jimmy moved, before we were married, and he moved to Port Hueneme, California. He was looking at buying something potentially. And, I was a girlfriend. I didn't have much in the say of things. But it was expensive. He's from California, though, so it wasn't a shock. But the landlord rules over there, the laws are very tenant friendly rather than landlord friendly. So I think I was kind of whispering that in his ear, like, just consider. And then the prices were super expensive for a shack. And my family's in real estate here and seeing like, man, you can afford so much more in other places. Would that be wise? And then he probably should have bought it. It probably would have worked out in the long run, but he didn't. So the first place we actually ended up buying was when we were in Italy. I came home for Christmas, I think, without him 1 year, and everybody's talking real estate. And I was like looking, just online, and they had this cute little place downtown that was a 100-year-old home. It was built in 1910, so now a little bit more than that. But and it was precious. I say precious. It had a frat that was kicked off of Southeastern's campus living in it, and rain gutters for lights and broken windows and holes in the floor. But it had a lot of good potential. Yeah, good character, good bones. And so I loved it. Went back. I think we got orders to graduate school somewhere there. And then when we moved up we were coming back down here, I said, well, what if we look at that place? It was still on the market a year later. So you helped me kind of discuss with them. And out of that deal, we just kind of fell into it because the owner, they had a rental in the back of that home. And then also the owner came and he said, I have 2 other houses.
That's right.
Would you be interested in buying?
I remember how the other 2 came into that.
Yeah. He just had them and he said, would you be interested in buying them? And we're like, well, what do you got? And one of them, we were like, just add it into the price and buy for $5,000, just add that to the price. And the other one, I could kick myself. He wanted $40,000 for it.
Where was that one? Because did y'all buy
that was on Holly. No, we just bought the one.
Okay.
And he wanted $40,000 $50,000 for it. It was in a flood zone. I think that was our biggest thing. They were like, no, let's not buy it.
Mhm.
And we went from 0 to like 3 doors. So we
Right.
were just like, I don't know if we can handle 4. Let's just, I don't know about that because we're
Mhm.
both a little, we're not totally.
Well, I mean, that's
You know.
a pretty big step. Either.
Yeah, it was a big step. But I think later on somebody bought that and renovated it. And I think a few years ago it sold for 170. So I'm like,
Oh gosh.
that's killer. So, but we did well with the things that
Yeah.
we,
Well, and I was trying to think if that was y'all's first one because I remember Spruce and
Mhm.
y'all still
Yeah, we still own
Spruce, right,
Spruce,
yeah.
and the other one
on Scanlon that y'all.
is we're about to. We've gotten back. We owner financed it right off the bat, and then we just got it back. So we're going to.
And by owner finances, she means like they sold it on seller. They seller financed it to a buyer who paid them for what
10 years.
10 years.
10
Okay,
years, yeah.
and then ended up. His life changed and he had to give it back to him, and so they got a vastly improved property.
Yeah.
And we're getting ready to put that on the market as a seller finance deal. So y'all get to be the bank again.
Yeah. So,
Creative financing. Not many people get to like do that in their first few,
well, I think that's you. You've given us all the ideas of that, which has been very, very helpful.
Well, hey, listen, I love doing it. And one thing that you mentioned I want to highlight for our audience is like you said, y'all came home and you were like, and everybody was talking about real estate around you because that's in our family. Like we have those discussions a lot. Like we have to be careful that our family gatherings don't turn into real estate masterminds.
They usually do.
They usually do. And it's a lot of fun. But because of that, we're all kind of like thinking about different ideas and we've all grown a lot, myself included, from that, like just thinking about different things
I don't know that we would do what we've done without that. I mean, I think the community, and even when we're not here with like, my family's always talking about it, but with, when we go around other military families who have properties, who have made use of, the benefits that are available to us, you get emboldened to do that more. You're like, okay, well, what can I do next? What moves can I make that, that are available to me that will benefit our family? So,
and it's cool. I think it's a great principle to surround yourself intentionally with the people that you want to be more like and sometimes you just dumb luck into it. Like our family just has kind of been that way, but it's really been awesome to see, and we've all grown.
Yeah.
But,
I mean,
so what about military life? Did that make investing feel harder or easier?
Harder, I think, definitely in some ways, because it's hard moving. Like there's so much mental bandwidth that gets taken up when you have to pack up your house and find a new place to live and, find all the new things, get established somewhere else. That takes up a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And being that we've actually been pretty lucky to remain in places for longer amounts of times than most military families.
Mm-hmm.
But it just takes a lot of your mental bandwidth. So even I think with this last one, I was happy and thankful that you were sort of pushing me. I remember we were over there one day and you're like, just call the guy, just call the contractor, see at this last Scanlon house.
Yeah.
Call the contractor, get it set up. And because emotionally, mentally, all of these things at one time, I'm like, I just can't. Like I was like, okay, just make the move, make a call, get him in there. Let's start the work. And that did start the snowball effect where it just started going on its own. But it's just a lot when you're dealing with a lot of transitions. It's hard to have another part of your life kind of in upheaval.
Yeah. Well, I was just at a like a leverage event, like where we were talking a lot about like the cost of different things and like switch costs. There's like a cost to switching tasks or activities. And that had a lot to do with like the efficiency of how your day goes. Like if you get a phone call in the middle of something, it's like, and Gary Keller says that switch cost consumes about 30% of your productive time. And that's a pretty major thing. But
that is here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and in a much larger sense, like I think there's a lot of real estate wealth that it gets grown with consistency over time. But if you're constantly having to unplug and replug in and rebuild a community and a family everywhere you're going.
Your home is often your largest investment. Trust the professionals at Fleur de Lis Law and Title for reliable, secure closings. With 10 offices across South Louisiana, Fleur de Lis is your trusted partner to ensure the title to your home and the money you invest are secure. The experienced attorneys and staff at Fleur de Lis can also take care of your real estate planning and succession needs as well. Fleur de Lis Law and Title, Louisiana's leader in reliable, secure closings. And let me tell you, we do the vast majority of our closings with Fleur de Lis. We have had great service. The attorneys here are just fantastic. So we love doing business with them. We highly recommend them.
Yeah, exactly.
That takes its toll.
And that's the thing. Coming back, you see everybody's talking and like in our family, at family parties, and did you see this? And that's just not a place that we are right now. Right.
And plug into that as much.
Exactly. Because I've got 10 other things that are changing and I've got to be preparing for. And so it's very much.
Well, I know that's probably extra hard for my FOMO sister.
It is.
So my sister has a lot of FOMO.
We
all do.
Right.
Kind of. In our family, we're all like, ooh, what are y'all doing over there? We don't want to be left out.
Right. And seeing that, I'm probably the least investor minded of all of us, especially when it comes to real estate. But, and not that I'm not, but I just, it's not conducive. I mean, you kind of make your life whatever it is, but it's just harder. So I know we were talking about being competitive, that I'm not competitive at things I'm not good at. And so that's one of those things I'm just like, I know I can't really.
Right. You can't play at a high level. I
could. Really, I could. We could.
You say you can't play at a high level, but how many rentals do y'all own?
We have 4, and when we leave here, it'll be 5.
Yeah. So that's right. Because you're going to rent out the house you're living in Pass.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like.
Yeah, it's not
play rentals at a high level and have 5. You're like,
yes, yeah, no, it feels good. I just, part of me is curious and hopeful that when he gets out, when we have one less thing going on, and he's receiving a pension, and he says he's going to go be a greeter at Walmart. And I say, oh, no, my friend, no, you're not. You're going to get your second career. And he would be bored to tears greeting at Walmart. So he's going to do something else. But I'm like, that we could use that to sort of further ourselves and maybe not play catch up like it's a game. I know that everybody's game is different.
Yeah.
But just to sort of, make more headway in that department.
Well, and I think, how have you, it sounds like, was there a time when y'all thought like, okay, we need to do something outside of military to help build our wealth? Or was it kind of just like you backed into it and then you looked up and realized, oh, wow, this is a really great source?
Yeah, probably the latter. I feel like moving in, I told him when we moved to Italy, I said, I love you. And if we need money, I'll flip burgers. I'll do whatever we need to. But if we don't, I'll enjoy being in Italy for 3 years. And he kind of agreed. I didn't want to have a job that he had time off. And we have this opportunity that we'll maybe never have again. And, I can't leave because I have some job that didn't really mean anything. And so we agreed on that. Like, he was like, okay.
I've always thought that was a really wise decision that y'all made and super countercultural. So like Jessica chose not to get a job while she was over there in Italy playing for 3 years.
He called me a house manager. He had the best meals, the best lunches any of his friends ever had.
Rodney used to say fun employed about me.
Fun employed.
Yeah, so
1000%.
But I just think, what other opportunity in your life will you have to be able to travel the world from Italy, home base of Italy, where everything's so close?
Yeah.
And you had just graduated with your master's, right? In INO Psych, Industrial and Organizational Psychology. So like highly qualified. And if you know my sister at all, like she could run lots of things. Like she does run lots of things, but like professionally, she could probably be well paid over there. And she just chose not to. And I think that was a really good, like bigger picture decision that y'all made.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you would say, looking back, you'd say, oh yeah, best decision.
Yeah.
Made,
I may have, had they had something in my field, maybe I would have felt a little differently, but I think it was a blessing that there wasn't, because it offered me a chance to volunteer and do things that were using the trades that I had learned, but then also to just explore. And it's 3 years. It was like a 3-year honeymoon. And the memories, the experiences that we got from that have enriched us and our relationship. And so I think it was totally worth it. But to your question, we sort of, when we moved back is when we bought our first things. And shortly after that, the group of houses, we bought another condo in that same year. So we went from nothing to like a lot in a very small time. And we're frugal. We're both pretty practical. I call him frugal. I am practical. He's part of the civil engineer corps, and they call it the cheap engineer corps.
The CAP, the cheap
CEC. And it's cheap engineer corps. And it's very true. You will find that amongst the engineers.
Yeah.
And so we had some money to kind of to make some good plays, and we didn't realize it until much later on that, like, you know, I look up and I'm seeing now we have kids and we're homeschooling and we're choosing things that like many people can't afford to do. And I think it's that extra buffer. It's not a ton of money, but that brings in, that makes us comfortable with making those decisions that I am not going to go to work, you know, that I'll stay home and teach the kids and have a lot of freedom in that respect. So I'm thankful that we made those moves early on, even though we didn't realize what it was going to afford us later on.
Yeah. And I think most people don't realize how powerful it is, because it's intimidating at first. You buy a house, you buy a rental property. I mean, it seems like you got to take a step a little bit back and delay gratification a little bit. But in the long run, the earlier you do it, the better. Like you said earlier, like, man, maybe we should have bought in San Diego. But I mean, hindsight's 2020. Best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. Second best time today, you know? So you just keep on, keep on buying. What's the real estate market like in Guam? And probably
you can buy, it's expensive. It's sort of like Hawaii. Everything is expensive. Labor is expensive. So you can buy a 4-bedroom house, 4-bedroom, 2-bath home, maybe about 2,500 square feet for about 6-7 if you want it decent, like a nice, 6-7. Oh Lord. But if you can get, I mean, if you want something nice, you're going to be paying close to 8-9.
Wow.
100,000. Yeah.
So I wonder about that, because like real estate, what makes real estate valuable is scarcity, and it's an island, not a very big island. So you know how they say about real estate, they're not making any more of it, especially on the island of Guam. Like, I debated. Because y'all only could be there a couple of years.
We'll only be there 2 years. The tsunami thing scares me. Or typhoon.
Typhoon,
not tsunami. The typhoon thing scares me. Same reason, like when we came back to Pass Christian this time, we lived the first time we didn't know. Another thing I could kick myself for, always not buying. I was laughing because in a podcast you said, I always regret not buying. And I don't think of myself as a super risky person, but looking back, I'm like, dang it, I'll always, it's my regrets are not buying.
Yes, so many of my regrets are what I didn't buy.
Yeah.
Very rarely. I've regretted buying 1 or 2 things, but I've not regretted buying like 50 things.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what looking when we've lived in Pass Christian, when we moved straight from here after we had just bought all those properties, moving over there, we lived downtown, Pass Christian, right by the water, a block off the water. It was awesome.
Cute house.
Great. But we had the opportunity to buy the house across the street, and I think they wanted $169 for it, and it was a 3-2, would have been great. But we had just taking a big bite of real estate, and we're a little nervous. And so we just kind of stepped back, but we ended up living there for 5 years and paying somebody else rent for 5 years. And that hurt as an owner, really hurt as an owner. But this time going back, we were like, should we buy downtown again? We knew we're near the end of his career, we'll see. But we didn't because of hurricanes and stuff. And that's the same thing with Guam. The hurricane, they just went through a super typhoon, and that's scary, especially when you're living a whole world away from it.
Right.
If we were to keep it and rent it out.
Yeah, probably getting contractors over there if you're not there.
Exactly. A big headache. So
even for the 2-year appreciation, you don't think it would be? I mean, I don't know. 2 years
not in a house yet. So, but I think it's the overwhelming factor of
it's a complication of your life, and there's a trade-off. Like, I've had to start making decisions on like, is it really worth the marginal increase in the chaos versus the marginal increase in the dollar? That's possible and not definite.
Yeah.
Because there's always a risk.
Right. And we are happy the way we don't require much.
Yeah.
You know, we don't, there's certain things we want. But I think you said, always live below your means. And then one day the things that you want will be below your means. And I think we're kind of at that curve now where we're free to kind of live how we want.
Yeah.
And it's still below our means because we've always sort of lived, pretty fiscally responsibly. So that's just,
That's absolutely probably one of the most important things. As I'm training my kids now, like what's the key financial like lessons you want to teach them, and live below your means. Like, because whatever your means are, you can easily fill them up or live beyond them or live below them.
Yeah.
But you're going to grow. Typically in life, you grow, your means grow. But if you're always below it, you can still keep that lifestyle rising right underneath or far underneath. And sometimes the lifestyle will grow at a greater pace than you're, If you can master that, you'll always have extra. And that's wealth. That's true, like.
Well, it's been nice.
One of my favorite things about Michael Klaus with Louisiana Realty Inspections is that he comes with a ton of experience. He's a licensed realtor and broker and has been in the construction and property management business for over 25 years. So he's got a lot of things he brings to the table. He does commercial, residential, and pool inspections. You can check him out at larinspections.com.
Because we're at this stage in our life starting to realize like, oh, we can afford these things. But our wants have not grown to meet, our availabilities. So we're like, oh, well, we want just down here, but we can afford up there, but that's okay. Like, let's just still take care. Maybe we'll give a little bit, splurge a little some places, but like it's been a nice kind of awakening where we're like, oh, we're at that point. Like, that's pretty cool, know?
Like if you keep your head down for long enough, then it's kind of like you get to be pleasantly surprised.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
That was buying this house for us. Like Rhonda
really?
was like, we can't afford that house. And Rhonda was like, actually, we can. I do the bills and we're okay. And I was like, what?
We are.
Like, oh my gosh, and it's still below our means. Because I told her, I said, we if you want this house, like we will go after it. We will stop going out to eat. We will like tighten up. She was like, we don't have to do any of that. I was like,
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And but it's because of that constantly living and letting that snowball grow on the top line bigger than, the wants and needs. Did VA financing play any role in y'all's,
Yeah, well, for the first ones, nothing was eligible for them because they were all sort of like,
they were rough,
run down, and they needed a lot of work. So nothing in the beginning was eligible for VA, which actually ended up working out well because when we came back, we moved, coming back from DC to the Gulfport area, and we started calling around. And a friend of ours, we called and said, hey, we knew this neighborhood was nice. Do you like it? She said, yes. And actually we have an Assumeable VA loan at 2.5%. And that's when everything was like 8s, 9s. Yeah. And we were like, okay, like sold. We were looking at another place for $100,000 less. Mm-hmm. And we were like, no, I mean, it'll be cheaper to buy this house. Yeah. So that definitely, we assumed a VA loan at 2.5%. And the beautiful thing about the VA is you still have, you can carry more than one VA loan. There's just certain calculations that you have to look at. But I mean, it's the availability. We've always put stuff down so that our note was not high, but you can go in with 0 down in places like California. And I don't believe there's a cap. I think you have to be approved, but I don't believe there's a cap on the VA loan. So you can use. Yeah,
that's an amazing tool that the VA has,
Yeah, it really is.
Financing is the best.
Yeah. And we may still use, I mean, I think now we can carry one. I think I did the calculations the other day, and we could afford to buy, I think, like a $600,000 house without anything down with a VA loan now. Yeah. So like you can still carry one and have
so is it like benefit. A total loan amount limit?
Yeah. And it's based off of like
what you can qualify on.
What you can qualify for, but then also like there is a calculation based on like the average house costs in that area. Oh, okay. So, but it's very generous. Yeah. Like I said, we have, I think maybe, I don't know, a few $100,000 on this loan. We can still carry another $600,000 on it. So it's very generous.
One of my favorite stories about an early client I had, he was a military guy. And at the time he was single, maybe dating this girl that he eventually married and they had kids and stuff. But he bought a VA. He used a VA loan to buy a fourplex, and he lived in one of the units for several years, and then eventually moved out and rented it. And years later, I think he sold it and he made all kind of money on it. But it was like such a great deal for him.
Yeah, because you have, especially if you have roommates, you get 3 roommates in there. When I met Jimmy, he was living with 3 other guys in a home, and I think one of the guys had bought it and was just. Then you're living rent free and you're paying off a property. Right. And then the good thing about military areas is that you have other military moving in consistently, people in your community that you might know and be like, "Hey, you want to move into this house?"
Right.
And then it just flips every 2 to 3 years. That's typically what people are in. How long people are in an area.
I would think that the military, like, the backfilling your like tenants with military people, that's probably a pretty safe bet. Or
yes.
what would you say? Like,
highly desirable.
Military are pretty disciplined. Like,
typically a lot of us are owners too. Like we own homes in other places, so we're not only renters.
Yeah, you
don't necessarily have a renter mindset, but also an owner mindset. So
that's cool.
Yeah, it's nice. You find, typically, not in every case, but I think typically.
Well, especially it helps if you're high up and you outrank them.
If it helps, it helps. I'm not going to complain about that.
I can see Jimmy playing that card. Like,
no, he wouldn't.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
But you can also garner wages, like in the military.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So if someone's not paying, you can go to the command and have the command garner their wages.
Would you have to be involved in the military to do that, or you can just, if I'm a landlord, I'm renting to a military guy?
I'm not sure about you. I'm not sure about that. That's a good question.
I never even thought about that.
But yeah, no, you can absolutely garner wages. So that is something that's also in the event that you don't get someone or someone in your community that just slips into the house for 3 years, you can garner wages. So things like that are definitely more desirable, Do
y'all feel like you sacrificed to make like real estate decisions? Or was it like not that?
Well, we're both pretty frugal. So
yeah.
In a sense, I don't feel like I have sacrificed much, but we all, Jimmy got his first new car in 2017. I bought my first new car in 2020. So we've always made kind of,
Is that y'all's first car payments?
No, we paid them off.
That's right. We
don't have any.
You've never had car payments.
We never had car payments. Yeah, because we just paid it off. So I think those
that's living below your means, and that's saving.
Right.
So, because nobody does that anymore.
Yeah, I know. But
I know what new cars cost, and it's usually
they're very expensive.
I financed the first time we had car notes was just in 2021, I think. Yeah.
And I think that's a lot to Jimmy's, credence, because he is a saver. We're both kind of savers, but meeting him and then us dating for long, and he had saved quite a bit. You laugh. But he saved a lot. So we were in a good place, I think, to start making investments by the time we got in, or by the time we got settled and sort of gotten our 3 years of fun overseas out of the way. When we were trying to settle down and create a family, I think we were in a good position in order to make some of those moves. So that's where I think, sometimes waiting, I'm like, oh, we should have gotten in early. But waiting didn't hurt us either, because we were set up at a place. I know you've told me before, looking at things and being like, should we buy more? Houses are cheap now. Should we buy now, or cheaper than they ever will be?
Right.
So should we continue to invest more and look for places and be more proactive there, even though it's stressful and we have a lot going on, and it's not, I don't really have the mental capacity for that, but should I be trying? You feel anxiety to do it.
Yeah.
And you've said, well, when you wait, there's other deals when you have more money, there are in some ways better deals, because there are fewer people playing in that pool. Yeah. And so I think, okay, if we just hold off for a little bit, we're still accruing money, we're still saving, maybe we can play when we get out, start to play a different kind of game,
And you'll be wiser. You're always growing in knowledge and experience if you dabble,
Yeah.
So what advice would you give younger military families specifically, or just generally about investing in real estate, number one, and then just broadly, just general advice about life? You're an experienced, mother of 4, homeschool, you're a pretty awesome person.
Oh, thanks.
And
real estate wise, buy. Even though we didn't necessarily do that, and I don't think it necessarily hurt us in the long run, because we eventually did.
Yeah.
But I think buying every different place I can see, when we turn around, like looking back, I'm like, man, like that the first time we moved to Pass Christian and we missed like an opportunity for something. Now those properties are double in value.
Yeah.
The ones in the downtown area. And I'm like, dang it, we could have owned that.
Yeah.
When we moved to DC, Jimmy's parents kind of did a deal with us. They said, well, we'll buy something. You just give us your housing allowance. We could have afforded it, but we were scared and like everything's super expensive. I think our house there costs more than your house here. And it didn't look like this.
Yeah.
And
I remember that. Do you remember how much they sold it for? Like how much more just a few years?
$400,000 4 years later.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean,
400,000 more.
400,000 more than what they had originally.
It's like around $1 million.
For. Yeah, they bought it for $1 million. They sold it for just under 1.4.
Yeah.
4 years later.
Golly.
So I mean, I know it was
appreciation.
It was kicking. Like that's another thing that I was like, dang, we took the safe route, and I'm so glad we did because it did.
And you don't know. I mean, it could have gone. It could have.
They bought during COVID. It was crazy. I was praying that they would make their money back, and we went in and renovated because they had been blessing us. We were like, can we do some things to kind of update on our dime, like just to thank you, and we like to do that.
That was a beautiful house too.
It was a beautiful house, and we finished the basement, and we changed some floors and some light fixtures and just aesthetic things, and I mean, it was hot. It went quickly, and I think it's the most expensive in that neighborhood. It was the most, or whatever they said, it was one of the highest sales in that neighborhood. And so I
Jessica does a good job of decorating. Her house is full of like artifacts from all over the world because did she mention she lived in Italy? But it's really a cool house. Like wherever they live, like I love my sisters both. They're just really good at that, But
so that I think buying like when you can, even though I haven't taken that advice myself, but just buying when you can and finding support community, in general. I think, and especially if your goal is to own property and to do the real estate thing, having people who are emboldening you and pouring into you and kind of encouraging you because you start to see like, oh, this works. Like this does work. And I don't need it to look that way. I don't need it to look that way. Like it pretty much works broadly across, the board.
Yeah.
So like, I don't have to do exactly what that person's doing, but I can take this and it's still working,
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite podcasters, Jason Hartman, he says like real estate is the most historically proven asset class. Like just investing in real estate, it goes up. You can leverage, like there's all kind of like, tax benefits and write-offs and inflation, all the things. So, but yeah, I would agree. And like, it's just, I'm really just proud of you. You're my sister. And like, I'm proud of all my siblings. This kind of rounds out the sibling episodes and it's really been fun to do that. And I'm really just pumped that all my siblings are doing this. It's really fun to look around and like see, what are they doing now and I'll call y'all and we will talk about different ideas and stuff. So it's awesome.
Yeah, I know it is fun. It is fun.
Anything else you'd like to share with our listeners?
Not that I can think of. No.
Well, thank you, Jess, for making time in your single mom life to be here and as you're preparing to go out for Guam. And so I'm excited you came today.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. It was
a lot of good value. Yeah, it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
So thanks again for joining us today on the Will Frederick Podcast, where we talk about real estate, wealth building, money, and life.